ahead of these numbers, but a lot of optimism baked into Micron and memory makers right now.
Absolutely. And the price shows it. And there is a pattern to Micron's earnings, right? That, oh, maybe a month before people, and it's probably in reaction to Micron's customers talking about, what they're buying from Micron. The stock generally, when things are good, this is a very cyclical stock, but when things are good, things are very, very good for Micron. And I think in the short term, things are going to be really, really good for Micron. But often the stock sells off right after just because of that buildup that has happened, in the recent past. So
I mean, year to date, Kim, the stock's up 168%. So we've got a little bit of a dip into the earnings. There's kind of nothing in terms of its performance. But what are you looking for after the bell in terms of signals that the strength is there and that we don't keep questioning the AI bubble as we know it?
So there are very few providers of the big product that AI wants, which is high bandwidth memory, DRAM. And there's only two other players in the market. Micron has had a nice lead. The other players are coming up, but it looks like for at least the foreseeable future, infinite demand is there for this product. And I'm teasing, okay? I don't really believe it's infinity, but it's a very high demand. So we would like to know what that's doing. And you can see how Micron is shifting away from its older products and its more consumer-related NAND devices. They announced, one of their longtime franchises, they're going to be closing that in favor of putting all its effort behind DRAM. So that's what I'm looking for is why do they have that confidence, and why should we as shareholders go along with the ride?
Because right now there is shaky confidence around certain names about the AI infrastructure build out. Do you have shaky confidence about certain newer players to cloud, newer areas in data centers?
Well, this is going to sound like a Miss America kind of speech. I have I know AI is going to work out. I just don't know how. The large language models seem to be consumers of tons of bandwidth, which you talked about on your last segment, or not, computing power, not bandwidth. But I don't know that that goes on forever, because this whole scaling thing where just throw more compute power at it seems like the brute force method, and it's not very computer science. We like to think. I'm an ex-practitioner. We like to think rather than just, build. So I'm thinking that breakthroughs in the design of these things are going to help out and may make a lot of the demand that we assume is there for hardware not irrelevant, but not infinite.
Well, to that point, we've seen what China has been forced to do because it can't just throw ever more compute at the situation, doesn't have access in terms of supply chain. What about Micron's own ability to the global opportunity here, and they're exposed to China in some ways?
Sure. I mean, it is a concern because we don't really want to allow them to sell the really good stuff into China because of military issues and, well, just, leadership. But that we're a capitalist society, so some of that kind of has to get pushed aside, and we let, companies work throughout the world. That is a concern. But right now, for the foreseeable future, let's say 18 months to 36 months, there doesn't look to be another breakthrough other than scaling. And it looks like, all things being equal, that scaling is the path forward, especially for large language models. So unless information comes to light tonight, it looks like the companies that are offering products to these big data centers are going to continue to have their products very much in demand.
What's interesting is we're trying to understand how much NVIDIA is still in demand at the same time as an Amazon builds out its Trainium, at the same time as TPUs come to the fore at Alphabet, and indeed Broadcom's used for ASICs. What do you make of if they can all win?
Well, I think they can all win because the training, test, and validation are parts of this process, and it can better use different hardware setups. So I think that there's a place for everyone. What you're trying to figure out is how much of a place for each one of these items. I think competition always makes it better for the end consumer. And I'm not talking about the people using LLMs, I'm talking about the people building LLMs now. So I am very heartened to see that the leadership of NVIDIA isn't overshadowing everybody else with an idea. I think it's also kind of interesting just from a performance standpoint that companies like Google and Amazon have been able to quickly come out with something that's very usable. And we all had the assumption maybe 18 months ago that that was, the horse was out of the barn and over the hill and, so far away. NVIDIA was the clear winner. So actually, I love it as a capitalist.